Okay, good morning and welcome to a new edition of Iyun with Benzion. We're learning Yevamos stuff from Zion number 57. We have a little technical chiddush today, keeping it simple for people that like simpler chidushim, not my elaborate and exotic chidushim that I usually give. We'll keep it simple today. I'm going to deal with the Gemara on the bottom of Zion and Aleph. The Gemara has a question. The Gemara has really been dealing with this the whole time. A psuadaka, right? Someone who is a Kohen, but he has his testicles crushed, and therefore it says in the Torah, Liavo psuadaka b'kal Hashem. A psuadaka, he's not allowed to marry the Kal Hashem. You're not allowed to marry someone who's part of the congregation of Klal Yisrael. Now, not everyone is part of the congregation of Klal Yisrael. A mamzer, he's Jewish, he's not part of the congregation of Klal Yisrael. A ger, not part of the congregation. Ger is machlokas, whether he's part of the congregation of Yisrael or not. Certain people are not. Mitzri, Domi, not part of the Kal Hashem. These Mitzri might not be Jewish. He actually is Jewish, a ger Mitzri, until 3 generations. Mitzri, you're not allowed to marry a Mitzri. But anyway, certain people are Jewish. They're just not part of the Kal Hashem. So the question over here is a psuadaka. He marries a woman. First of all, the Gemara talks about he marries a regular Israelis. So if he marries a regular Israelis, does that give the ability for the Israelis to eat truma? Kohen has the ability to eat truma, even if it's a psuadaka. Technically, he can eat truma, but does it give? He's not allowed to marry the Israelis. He can't marry the Israelis. If he can't marry her, so how can he Michael and Truma? So the Gemara wants to set it up as a machlokas between Rav Meir and Elazar Shimon and Mishnah and Nevarim and Beis about whether even if you're do a bia with someone or mishtameres, you're waiting for a bia with someone you're asur, does that give the ability? If you do the bia, so then your post it answers to the lady, she becomes a psula zona, she can't eat truma. But if you didn't do the bia yet, you just did eris and you did it soon without doing a bia, so maybe that's good enough to be ma'achal the truma because she's his kinyan kaspo, and Elazar and Shimon hold that way. That Aman l'kohen gadol, Gusha l'chuzuk l'kohen hedyot. If they're just engaged, he could give him Michael or Truma. Because he didn't do a bia to passel her yet. So that's the question over here in the Gemara Psuadaka for Yisraelis. And the Gemara tries to prove one way or the other from a case of a Psuadaka. They say a Psuadaka, maybe it's clear that he could be Michael a Gioris. Right? Even though he can't be Michael Yisraelis, but a Gioris, even if you boil her, technically it would be no Isser. It would be no Isser, you would do no Isser. So therefore he has the ability, technically, validly, according to halacha, to marry a Gioris, because she's maybe not part of the Kal Hashem. And he could be Michael or Truma. So the Gemara tries to, because that's true, so therefore he could be Michael, a regular Israeli, as long as he doesn't do Bia yet. The Gemara eventually brings an answer. The Gemara says the question is only according to one time, not according to Yossi. About 12 lines from the bottom. Ela aliba de haitan destan Rabbi Elazar Yaakov Omer Isha bas gerim lotinasa lakuna ashde imam Yisrael. A woman who's a daughter of converts, her father's a convert, her mother's a convert. She cannot marry the guna. She can't marry a regular Kohen. Forget Psuadaka. She can't marry a Kohen until at least her mother has ancestral Judaism in her, meaning she's been Jewish for at least 10 generations. This is the question. The question that Rabbi Yoshaya had that he wasn't unsure about, Rabbi Yoshaya is unsure about a question, is in this case, which would be a question of Cornelius ben Yaakov. So what's the case? So So the first explanation of Rashi is that we're talking about a case where Imam Yisraelis. We're not talking, even though it sounds like the Gemara is talking about a case where both the father and mother are Gerim. We're really talking about the father's a Ger, and the mother is Imam Yisrael. She has ancestral Judaism in her for many generations. So do we say that when they have a child, a daughter, kashrus mitosa bava achla, she becomes kosher, she becomes kosher to the kahuna, she becomes a regular Yisraelis, as opposed to a ger marries a gioris, she's not kosher the kahuna. She's a zona. She's considered like a zona. She's not kosher the kahuna. So therefore she could eat. So therefore a kohen is a psuadaka could feed her truma. Odilma kedusha mitosva ba v'lo achar. Maybe you'll say no, that she even has kedusha. She becomes part of the Kal Hashem, in which case a psuadaka can't marry the Kal Hashem, and he wouldn't be able to feed her because the Bia would passel her. So the Gemara says, Tashma, Kiyasa Rabbi Yacha, Barachinina Midroma, Asav Isim, Asisa Biyode, Minam Tuadaka, Kohen Dasa Basgeram, Shamachil, Bashom, Never, but Kohen Kikne, Havashkin, and Kaspal Yochel. And the Gemara concludes this price, it must be a Kohen Dasa and Yaakov. And you see, Elav, the second to last line of the Daf, Dasa and Yaakov, Shamana Kashrus, Itosba Bachla. It must be that she gets Kashrus, but she doesn't get the Kuna, the Kedusha, and therefore she's not part of the Kal Hashem, and therefore she's not a Zona, she's Kashrus the Kuna, but she's not part of the Kal Hashem, so therefore the Kohen Tuadak could technically marry her, and therefore he can Michael or Truma. That's the simple explanation that Rashi gives. Rashi gives a second explanation in Dil Ramaskal, Dilma Kedusha Nami, he tells us about Lishna Achrina, Pia More. I don't know, More is his Rebbe, Rashi's Rebbe. He says, Bas Ger V'Giora is coming boile. He's not talking, the Gemara's question, Kashrus Mitosaba, Kedusha Mitosaba, was not talking about where the Ima was a Yisraeli, it's talking about where a ger and a giores, the father was a ger and the mother was a giores, married, and they had a child. Aliu there's Yaakov. My kasher is tosa bahach the imam Yisrael that create kal. If her mother was ancestrally Jewish, so then in that case she would get kashrus. Aval, but it's important for the diak, for the inference. Albas ger giores lav kali the acha. Again, according to this explanation, kashrus wouldn't mean kashrus the kahuna. It would mean kashrus would mean part of the Kal Hashem. It's two different meanings. Kosher means part of the Kal Hashem. So she's part of the Kal Hashem only if the mother is ancestrally Jewish. But if it's a daughter of converts, so there's no kashrus, so she's not part of the Kal Hashem, and she would eat. She would teres l'psuadaka. V'hai lab kedushay kai the titzar ala mishum kuna. O Dilma, the next Rashi kedusha he talks about lishna lekahuna linosed lekahuna v'hachta ein imam Yisrael not nihig the kedusha leisba kashrus mia isba ubechal kal he. If she was, and the mother was ancestrally Jewish, she would have full kedusha. She would be part of the Kal Hashem, and she'd be kosher to the kahuna. But if you're a bas gerim, even though a ger and a gioris had a child, even though there would be no kashrus, even though there would be no kedusha, there would be kashrus. It would be part of the Kal Hashem, and therefore she can't eat. She's part of the Kal Hashem, and she can't eat. And that would be the explanation of the Gemara. Now, there's two explanations. Let's just explain why Rashi, and then Rashi picks the first lashon. He says lashon rishon nir eka. Why did Rashi say the first lashon is the main lashon? Is the main way of explaining this? Because there's two things over here. According to the second explanation, the word kosher means part of the Kal Hashem, and kedusha means kedusha's kahuna. Up until now, we've been discussing normally the way you say kosher and apostle is talking about the kahuna, and kedusha means kedushas Yisrael, which is talking about part of the Kal Hashem. That's the reason Rashi is explaining it. There's a simple way of explaining why Rashi prefers the first lashon, because normally when we're talking about it, kashrus means the kahuna, not a zona, not a harlot, prostitute is not allowed to marry a kohen, and kedusha means part of the Kal Hashem, part of the community of Hashem. Kedusha is Yisrael. The only reason that Rashi says the second lashon, and there is a possibility of saying the second lashon, is because that fits more into the way of a similar understanding of the Gemara, because the Gemara Shaila was about a ger and a gioris, a daughter of a ger and a gioris. So, according to the first lashon, really the Gemara, that's not really the question. The question, we're talking about a woman who the mother is Yisraelis and the father was a ger, and that it's the shaila kashrus or kedusha. According to the second lashon, we're actually talking the whole time about a ger and a gioris, the daughter of a ger and a gioris. So therefore, it's more logical to learn the second way. Rashi prefers the first way because even though the lashon is more meduyak, the Gemara is more meduyak the first way, but the lishna kasher and kedushas Yisrael, or the svara over there, is more logical over there. So that's why Rashi picks the first lashon. I hope you enjoyed. It's a simple explanation. It's a little difficult to figure out in the Gemara, but keep it simple to today. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye.